Afternoon, Bournemouth fans. Welcome to Cherries Red Army YouTube channel. I'm Kirk, and AFC Bournemouth won this afternoon's fixture against Middlesbrough 3-1. You heard it right. AFC Bournemouth 3, Middlesbrough 1, and we're here for the match review show. And I've got John alongside me. How you doing, John?
Yeah, doing pretty good today. Good start to the bank holiday weekend.
So we're on that trail to get into the playoffs. I think we're going to need 17 minimum, and we got 3 today. We'll go through the game as we normally do, John. But what's your raw feelings since that full-time whistle's just gone?
Well, I mean, just really glad for the result. I mean, I think the performance wasn't completely there, but I think it was still pretty good. Certainly better than a lot of the games that we played this season. And Middlesbrough didn't really, put us under too much pressure for the most part. They certainly didn't put any kind of high press on. We were able to malaise about with the ball at the back for the last 10 minutes of the first half for the most part. But yeah, the scrappy third, but glad to get the third and made the win about as convincing as I think the performance deserved.
So thank you if you're checking in to see this video, and we much appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber already, please do subscribe to Cherries Red Army, and you can also follow us on Twitter at Cherries Red Army, and also give this video a like throughout the show as well. So I had Steve on Lineups Live, and we'll just take a look at the lineups before we get into the match, John. But when those lineups were released, I mean, what was your thoughts?
It was pretty much what I would have expected, with Kelly, only recently coming back from international duty. Rico staying in sounded about right. Adam Smith, I was a little bit surprised Smith came in, but I think Stacey did have a couple of poor games, and so a change was, fine if Smith is coming back from injury. And then, seeing the rest is basically what I would have wanted for the most part. I think Pearson maybe could consider himself unlucky to not start the game, but I think Jack Wilshere was still a good choice. And yeah, it is one of the best lineups we can put out, I think, at the moment.
And Jack Wilshere sits in that sort of 2 defensive holding midfielders, and that is sort of how he sort of settled in against Swansea, and it sort of played out this fixture as well. And with Middlesbrough, they don't really have an out-and-out striker. So with the attacking players that are match winners on their day, but they've got like a false 9, Duncan Watmore. I suppose that was always going to be the fear for Bournemouth as we go in to have a look at the game in more detail.
Yeah, especially towards the start of the game, I think with an early free kick and just with other general play, we were playing a very high line, which I was a little bit concerned about because Watmore certainly has good pace on him, and Yannick Bolasie is still certainly capable of putting it about in the Premier League as well. So it's not like despite not having a striker, they still had good attackers that could have challenged us if we went on our game.
So in a lovely conditions at AFC Bournemouth Vitality Stadium, the referee blew for kickoff, and sunny conditions, as we say. And if you're watching on AFCB TV live, Chris Temple was talking about the goalkeeper's outfits: a gecko green for Begovic and a Swedish outfit for Bentinelli. But it was sort of in the first 6 minutes that I was excited already, John. It was good to see that we had a bit of a back-to-front urgency that we've wanted to see a lot this season. And it wasn't the first goal, but Danjuma already was showing his intent early on with intercepting a free kick in our own half, and then sort of taking it up the pitch. But we couldn't get that chance where we hit the target. Lerma just dragged it wide. Yeah,
that early chance was good to see. Not just the interception to set us on our way, but Danjuma then did make the right pass, I think, pulling it back to Billing, and that layoff to Lerma from Billing is just the kind of thing that you just know is going to come from Billing. He's very aware of the people that are around him and sets things up quite nicely, but still takes a good shot when he needs to, quite obviously.
14th minute then, it would be a sort of similar sort of play where we'd intercept and we'd get the ball and we'd travel up the pitch, and it would sort of end up with Danjuma flicking it over his head and Billing would run onto it. Now initially, John, I thought the defender's going to push him here and that was going to end up being a penalty, but Billing stayed on his feet just about. He doesn't score tap-ins. He gets another goal. That's his second goal in the Championship in a row, and another goal inside the 20th minute mark, which you pointed out to me on Twitter.
Yeah, that was one I was sure you would notice pretty quickly, and another assist from Danjuma, and Billings got that 2 games in a row stat, but I'm sure Solanke is desperate to get off his back at some point. The thing that I was actually most impressed about there was because frustratingly I checked Twitter and found that Billing had scored before the goal actually went in. So I was looking to see what Billing was going to do, and I think he wins the ball, as maybe intercepts it or just picks up the ball about 30 yards out of our own box. Ball goes back and forward a bit in midfield. I think they kind of put a foot in. Billing wins the header again to put it through to Danjuma. He basically wins the ball twice and then ends up on the end of that flick on for Danjuma. So, and I noticed that, good bit of defensive work that he put in today as well, despite being the number 10. Just, and you mentioned the push. I think he did get the slightest nudge and was obviously off balance when he hit it, but it was a really good finish, low into the bottom corner that the keeper had no chance of saving.
So AFC Bournemouth went 1-0 up in the 14th minute. And one of the frustrations I've had this season, John, is that we haven't then hit teams again and got 2 or 3 ahead and then really just put the game to bed. And Danjuma had a chance only about 5 or 6 minutes later, and he cut inside, similar to the goal he scored against Blackburn, but he sort of didn't have his feet all right. He sort of slipped, I think, as he shot, and it sort of hit the defender and went for a corner. But that was a good chance, and we could have gone 2-0 up.
Yeah, it's Danjuma's trademark, really. I would say at this point, just cutting in from that left-hand side, and I think the defender does well to slide the foot in to prevent that goal, and because it may well have been heading in bottom corner, but the defender stopped it and sent it for a corner. And I think their right back really struggled with Danjuma for most of that game. Just there were times where he couldn't get past him, but his quickness of feet and low center of gravity just can send him either way very quickly, and it's really impressive to see when he's at full flow.
Like any sort of, when you play at that tempo and intensity that we were playing at for the first 20 minutes, there is going to be periods in the game, we've talked about this before, John, where you do sort of struggle and the opposition will get an opportunity to come back into it. And I thought that Borough grew into the game around the 25th mark, and not that they were causing too much troubles, but they were getting corners. There was Begovic was trying to punch balls away, and we were trying to clear balls. But you could see Borough growing into the game, and and if keeping the score to 1-0, they always probably fancied themselves to get a decent chance at some point.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth had sort of a soft control of the game, kind of, in terms of Middlesbrough. When we had the ball at the back with our centre backs, Middlesbrough weren't really pressing. They were waiting until it went to the fullbacks to initiate the press, which is a sensible tactic to do against us. But yeah, there was a lot of corners, free kicks. None of them, thankfully, were too challenging. Begovic was relatively commanding, but it wasn't. We weren't doing our thing very much. We certainly sort of let off the gas and weren't as dominant as we could have been going forward and pressing for that second goal like we really should have done. And historically, we've gone into games 1-0 up at half time and not won. So, didn't really want us to settle for that anytime soon.
We'll just touch on this very, very briefly, but Stanislas, around just after the 30-minute mark, sort of picked up the ball, tried to play 1-2, went into the box, claimed for a penalty?
Not for me, no. I mean, having a look at the replay, there was a little bit of movement across from the defender, but it was nothing much. It could even have been outside the box. I was looking more at the contact, more so, and nothing for me there.
So as we headed towards half-time, and it was one of those for me that I was happy with the way we played. It definitely was content with that, but just going in 1-0 always frustrates me. But at 44 minutes, Borough would get a chance. Ball would come in, and we know we've struggled early. We've done it on our Championship review shows and that, John. And yeah, they had a header from the back post and hit the bar, and luckily we did go in 1-0 up. Yeah,
it was. Adam Smith has been caught out once or twice already. I think, was it this season? Certainly over the season gone by having the left winger get a jump on him. And he's not the tallest, obviously, and from a standing start, he's not going to compete well in the air. Thankfully, it did bounce off his head to go off for the corner. And I think what was more worrying was just how easy the cross came in, because I believe in that situation, it was Danjuma trying to block, looking to maybe block the cross, but he was still about 4 feet away from the person that was putting the ball in. Rico was quite central in that instance. So, it was worrying at that point, and certainly preventing crosses is something we need to be working harder to do.
But we did go in 1-0 up at half time, 59% possession, I think. Obviously, we had shots on target. Borough did have 6 shots, but the closest they come was hitting the bar. We came out for the second half, then I was hoping we'd hit the ground running again and get this second goal. But it was more Borough that were on the front foot, and Yannick Bolasie was showing his intent early doors, and he had a couple of chances. One tried to finesse, but went past the post. The other one more hit the corner flag. But yeah, you could see that Bolasie was a bit up for it just after half time.
Yeah, he certainly seemed to be. And in the first half, it really looked like he got absolutely nothing from Adam Smith, and Smith was really sort of getting on his nerves as well at times, doing typical Smudger things of winning easy free kicks by going down in his own corner, and had switched over to sort of have a go at Rico, which I thought he'd get more joy with. But yeah, 2 shots from range, both off target, one wildly so. He was trying to have an impact, but not really. At that point, he hadn't really had the telling moment for Borough.
A forced substitution, but although Woodgate likes to make these types of substitutions, but Stacey would come on for Stanislas. Looks like a hip injury, people on Twitter, Stanislas and all that. But yeah, I mean, do you think it's just precautionary?
I don't know. It's interesting because Stanislas because the referee had come over to talk to him a few minutes prior to the substitution, which it wasn't really apparent what had happened, and obviously he was feeling something. I mean, I'm really not sure. It could well be a precaution, but the turnaround is so quick. I'm not entirely sure whether we'll see him more than on the bench next game. But what I was sort of a bit flummoxed by was bringing Stacey on in right mid. It's just like, I understand he's done that before when we're trying to see out a game when we're 1-0 up in the 80th minute, but it was 1-0. Still 35 minutes left of the game to go. Riquelme's on the bench. Why not play him? It was an odd decision for me.
Is there an argument to say though, John, that having those 2 types of players on that side, that if one goes, drops back, and they're very similar, so they can both go on and do stuff going forward, but they're naturally both right backs as well. So I suppose when you are winning 1-0, you've still got that protection. That's the only thinking I can see behind it.
Yeah, and I agree with that in terms of if you're trying to see the game out, because as much as Stacey, is fast, and I think he's probably provides a little bit more than Smith going forward, particularly in the final third. He's still not. He's not. He doesn't really provide the impetus going forward that I think Rowe will do. And when you consider really that our weakness generally is going to be our left-hand side, because not only is Rico, I don't think, as good a defender as Smith, but also he doesn't get the support from the left winger in Danjuma that Smith will get normally from, whether it be Stanislas, whether it be Rowe, whoever it might be. Just overloading the right side with defensive players, I just didn't see the point in it that early in the game. 15, 20 minutes later, yes, absolutely, fine. But when you've got a straight swap at right mid, I don't see why we didn't make that change.
And in that time of the game, with 3 minutes later, all was balanced. We've been here before, 1-0 up, and Duncan Watmore would receive the ball between the holding midfielder and the centre back, and he would delicately control it, and with a left foot finish would just hit the post inside, finish in the net, and it would be 1-1. It's always the danger, and Duncan Watmore is their top goal scorer with 6 goals, now 7.
Yeah, he was, even if as more of a false nine, he certainly had the capacity to score. And as I mentioned, Bolasie hadn't had much of an impact in the game prior to that, but he did play that ball through, very well controlled by Watmore, a swivel and a finish under Cook's legs. And Begovic might be a bit disappointed that he didn't get anything on that, because certainly on replay as well, it did look like he went down a bit slowly. And just missed it as it went past his glove. Very tidy finish, but when it goes through that slowly, you do naturally want to look at the keeper when he's such a big man as well. He's got enough reach to get there. Good finish, but I think Cook will be disappointed that it's got past him, and then obviously Begovic as well.
We don't want to concede goals, but it sort of brought us back to life again, because within a few minutes of that, we'd have Stacey being proactive down the right-hand side. He'd break through, and he would have an opportunity to square it to Dom, but he'd play it behind him, and Dom couldn't sort his feet out, and it would still be 1-1, but there was a chance there for us to retake the lead.
Yeah, I mean, if that had gone in, I would love to have seen the replay and see whether Stacey was offside, because I didn't think he was on at all. Like, I didn't think he was even close to being onside, but maybe it was the right back that kept him on or something like that. But once he's in that spot, yeah, I mean, he's just got to put that in front of Dom, who can pick his corner from that point. And the frustrating thing was that it was so far behind Dom that if he left it, Danjuma taps that in the back, taps it in because he's arriving in the penalty box as well. So yeah, that was frustrating for Stacey to not put that one on the plate.
But we would retake the lead a few minutes later, and Billing, a player coming of age in that role where he has freedom and not a lot of responsibility on the left-hand side, would square it, and Lerma with a clinical finish. Okay, maybe a bit of luck there coming off the defender, and he'd get a goal that I'm sure will be given to him because it was on target. 2-1 to AFC Bournemouth.
Yeah, and that pullback from Billing was exactly what I expected from him when I could see that being played in real time. I saw Lerma in acres of space there and thought that's going to be pulled back to him. And then Morsey's there, manages to sort of one-two it with himself through to Lerma, and then manages to be the person that the ball deflects by his leg through into the corner. So he had a terrible 5 seconds there. Lerma had a good game for me. He had a really good game, very strong, and that goal capped off what was a good performance. And Billing, yeah, just goal and assist as well. Now he's really sort of climbing those charts for goal involvements for Bournemouth.
2-1 up then, and then you want to score another one just to give you that sort of breathing space to then go on and finish the game. And Dom Solanke would break through and have an opportunity to get a shot away. In the end, he would get 2 bites at the cherry because the goalkeeper, instead of trying to punch it sideways or up, or it makes a bit of a hash of it, and Dom gets another second chance and sort of sends it underneath him into the bottom corner. But yeah, Dom Solanke, 12th goal of the season, AFC Bournemouth 3, Borough 1. That would sort of seal the 3 points.
Yeah, Solanke got a lot of luck from that. I think not only the keeper pouncing it out, the defender that the ball was going to just stood still, waited for it to come to him, and Solanke pounced quite well. And then the keeper jumped over the finish. So there's a lot that went well for Solanke there. A comment as well for Stacey's ball through to him. Stacey finds himself in the number 10 position somehow, and a really strong, accurate ball through to Solanke. And unfortunately, he won't get the assist because it's kind of the goalkeeper that because the goalkeeper spills it back to him, it won't get an assist, that goal. But yeah, especially when he hasn't scored he hasn't scored much for a while. Anyway, it goes in, he'll take it, and heck, maybe on Monday he'll finally put that stat to bed.
Hopefully, it's back again. This would be a nervous 10 minutes for some AFC Bournemouth fans, and we know the 3-1 has been in the balance for quite a while, and we haven't done it since 2021. And I said on Lineups Live that the last time I think we did it was on a Friday, and it was the 2nd of the month, and that was today. So some nervous minutes there for some fans, but Stacey would get through on that right-hand side again, and probably was in. Did he square it? He didn't sort of get his head down and think, I'm just going to go for goal, but a good chance. But yeah, it just didn't look like he was going to be clinical with that shot, and it sort of just went past.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd say he didn't know what to do at that spot quite, because it's not like I haven't seen him score from. I think he scored from that kind of spot in a preseason friendly a few years back. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I can see when the ball's gone out for the corner, you can see Long and Billing and Danjuma all arriving in a burst, sort of with their hands in the air, just going, why didn't you pass it to me? At that point, 3-1 up, not much long to go. I'm not all that worried about it. Note as well, again, to the pass from Billing, just absolutely pinpoint ball that the defender just couldn't quite reach. Seeing a lot of that from Billing at the moment, which is lovely to see.
And as we bring the stats up at full time, then we win a football match, John, comfortably in the end, not as comfortable as people might think, 3-1, but 59% possession. But we did have that, as I said, that back to front urgency for large spells in the game, and it was a good sight to see. Yeah,
and I think as much as Middlesbrough did have one more shot than us, I think 5 shots on target from 7 is a much better accuracy rate than we've seen recently. And then 3 goals from those 5 shots on target is a really good conversion rate. And saying winning matches, I mean, that's 2 games in a row we've scored 3 goals. Last time out, that was against a team that was third in the table still, now 3rd or 4th. and then again a playoff chasing team. So two strong sides and 3 goals against both is very positive to see.
And another good stat, because we did dominate the ball, 450 passes, but 75% accuracy. And when you've got someone like Jack Wilshere in there, and when you are winning football matches, it's players like him that can dominate the ball and protect the ball.
Yeah, I'm almost a little bit surprised it's quite that high, considering how much aerial tennis went on for periods of that game. But mention as well, in terms of pass accuracy, to Ben Pearson as well, coming on and showing why a lot of the fans really liked him from his first game. Just not playing any silly balls, just getting the ball, making sure no one's near and passing it to someone in space, and just recycling possession and not putting us under any pressure unnecessarily.
Full-time whistle then. AFC Bournemouth 3, Middlesbrough 1. The 3 points go to the home team. And let's see who was man of the match. We had a poll go out on Cherries Red Army Twitter. By you, the followers have voted. And we'll take a look and see. The 4 contenders were Dom Solanke, Jeff Lerma, Adam Smith and Phil Billing. And with 61.3%, the AFC Bournemouth voted for Phil Billing. John, probably deserved again.
Yeah, I think so. I think goal, assist and just his general play. Maybe was a little bit lucky not to get sent off, though I think the first yellow was very harsh. Yeah, out of the game, it was only really Billing, Smith and Lerma that stood out to me as players that really put in top quality performances for 90 minutes. And then Solanke gets the goal at the end, so he deserves to at least be amongst the 4. But yeah, I think that's about right to get the award.
Not a single vote for Adam Smith there. I feel a bit bad for Adam Smith there. And also, I know there's a few comments in there for Carter Vickers as well. Yeah, he had an opportunity to get in there, to be fair. But, I mean, do you want to mention any Carter Vickers? But, I mean, he's been a rock for quite a few weeks now.
Yeah, he has. And I think, it's just the fact that he didn't really have much to do for the most part. Middlesbrough didn't really. He made won a couple of races with Watmore apart from that, he made his first mistake on the ball of the season. I think it was when he tried to do like a Cruyff turn and messed it up against Watmore, but that wasn't in a dangerous position, so we were fine. Yeah, I mean he could have fit in there, but personally I just think Smith had Balassi in his pocket. So I think he totally deserved to be amongst the contenders there.
Come to the end of this review show then, and match reaction, but please do give us a like and a subscribe. We're going to take a look at the other scores in the Championship for today, and we'll look at the table because remember, Reading and Barnsley are kicking off very soon. So by the time you watch this, they might have already completed their match. But yeah, please do this and we'll come back and have a look at the other scores. So the scores in the Championship for today are AFC Bournemouth 3, Middlesbrough 1, Bristol City 0, Stoke 2, Cardiff City 0, Nottingham Forest 1, Derby County 0, Derby County 2, Luton 0, Millwall 1, Rotherham 0, Preston North End 1, Norwich 1, QPR 3, Coventry City 0, Watford 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Wycombe 1 and Blackburn 0. And I'll come to the game just below that in just a moment, John. But Cardiff drop points, Borough lose to us, Barnsley and Reading to come. Is it a 7-horse race now?
Yeah, I think that's it for the playoff chasers in terms of Cardiff and Middlesbrough, with them both losing. Yeah, it's 6 from 7 in terms of playoff and promotion places, but really it's down to just 3. It's 2 from 3 now, with Barnsley, Reading, and Bournemouth being the contenders, and we're in a good position at this moment going up against both of those teams.
So we don't need to necessarily get ahead of both Barnsley and Reading. We just need to pit one at least. What are you wanting from that 5:30 kickoff?
Well, ideally, you'd want a Barnsley win. I wouldn't have any issues with Barnsley winning every game from here to the end of the season, as long as Reading lost most of theirs. Because in terms of running, Barnsley have the far easier running of the 3, and Reading have a bit of a harder running than us. So, particularly with the fact that we're above them right now, we're just looking for any opportunity for Reading to drop points, and this is a prime opportunity for that.
So we don't know what's going to happen yet in that game, and potentially come 7 o'clock we'll be back out the playoffs, but we have got that game in hand if the worst happens. But as you can see, we are currently sitting in 6th position because of our goal difference, and that's all due to the goals we scored in the first half of the season. So a pretty good day all round the last couple of hours, John, and we go into Monday. We've got a match preview coming up, which you'll be able to see over the weekend, so please check that out on the channel. But Blackburn, and they lost to Wycombe.
Yeah, just I saw that there at the bottom of the list, and I mean, it's going to need more than a miracle at this point, really, for Wycombe to stay up. But if they're going to do it, they need to be winning games, and that's a great start for them, getting a 1-0 going against Blackburn, who I'm sure I've heard something about Tony Mowbray's future at Blackburn now, given how they've fallen off over the last few months of this season, and shame because with the attacking force they've got, they just can't seem to. That's fallen off a bit as well. So, and they can't get any real points together. So, shame for them, but great news for Wycombe.
And as I said, check out the preview show that will be dropped over the weekend, and you'll find out more about Blackburn's form and that match in more detail. John, had great to have you on, and just sort of wrap up the summary then of that game. 3 points. I mean, we're not making games comfortable, but we're getting the 3 points. As I've said for a few weeks now, we need probably 17 as a minimum. We probably get an extra point with a goal difference. It's a good start.
Yeah, it's just that at the moment. It's a good start. And I mean, you can look at our game against Swansea and link that with this one and say that, it's a good succession of games now. But I would certainly like to see us be more on the ball for the full period of the game. We certainly sort of slept our way through the second part of the first half, and it took a goal from Middlesbrough to really give us a kick at the backside to get going in the second. So, we still need to be putting, a good 90 minutes together, which, we did against Swansea, but not so much today. And that's really should be the target for the next few games going forward.
Great to have you on, John. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Easter weekend.
Yeah, you too, Kurt.
I'm sure I'll speak to you Monday, obviously. Thank you for all of you that are currently viewing this video. Please give this video a like, and also please subscribe if you haven't already. A good day for the Cherries. A 3-1, the first one of 2021. I'm sure some fans are happy. Enjoy your Saturday and your Easter Sunday. We'll be back on Monday with lineups live. Check that match preview that'll be out at the weekend. And we'll go again at Blackburn. And hopefully the Cherries can get another 3 points and back in the playoffs. From me and John, we'll see you on the next video. Up the Cherries.